Hello, everyone. This is Belal Hamideh. I'm here with you with Greg Benefit, my co-host. How you doing today, Greg?
Hello, Bilal. I'm hanging in. I'm doing all right. I'm on the East Coast, so I'm glad you reminded me exactly what was 1:30 or 10:30 a.m. on the West Coast. I'm still struggling with the time, so I'm glad you reminded me of the right time for this. I'm glad to be here.
We're always glad to be here to answer everyone's questions live. We like to give back to the community. People have questions that come about in regards to personal injury matters, in regards to employment dispute matters like wage and hour, overtime, or wrongful termination, and also in regards to work accident matters. We handle those types of cases, and we are happy to provide our answers live to the community. I invite you all either on my personal page or on the Bilal Hamidullah business page to leave a comment with your questions, and we will tally those questions and then make sure to answer them for you live on every other Saturday. So with that, I believe that we have a few questions that came
Hmm.
in, and let's
Absolutely.
go ahead and start with number one.
Sure. First question off the top: can I get lifetime payments in workers' compensation?
Okay, so in workers' compensation, usually your payments are limited to 2 years of disability payments after your date of injury. However, there's one exception to that. If you can prove that you are 100% permanently disabled, which means that for the remainder of your life, you will not be able to ever work again, then you will be entitled to lifetime payments. You have to be obviously severely injured to qualify. God forbid that you do or a loved one does. But in that event, you are entitled to lifetime workers' compensation payments.
Okay. Wow. I had no idea. I would have thought there was just a short thing. That's interesting. That's great that there are some options that extend out like that. Question two is jumping over to personal injury. What is the process if I sue for personal injury?
Okay, so usually a personal injury is a car accident claim, a slip and fall claim. A personal injury is an injury that occurs by the fault of a third party. So a stranger basically negligently hurts you, and now you've sustained an injury, and you can pursue what's called a personal injury claim. With these type of claims, you usually try to resolve them through a claims adjuster with the insurance company.
Hmm.
However, you cannot always reach an agreement for a settlement. So the alternative to continue to pursue your claim is to file a lawsuit. If you file a lawsuit, you have to file the complaint and the summons and all the other paperwork to start a lawsuit. Then you have to serve the defendant through personal or substitute service with the complaint so that they know that they're being sued. After that, the defendant files an answer, and then within 10 days of them filing an answer, you can now start the discovery process where you or your attorney sends interrogatories, written questions to the other person asking for documents relating to the accident, asking for written answers. You also have to provide answers to them. And then depositions may be taken by you or your attorney of the person who struck you. And then they may also take your deposition to basically gauge how the incident occurred and then how damaged you are from the time of the incident up until now. Then discovery is done through written answers and questions and through oral testimony in a deposition. Then you can try to settle the case in a mediation, or you can prepare for trial, which trials are usually now 1.5 years after you file your lawsuit and are especially now delayed due to COVID. So that's basically the process of a personal injury lawsuit. You file the case, you let the other people know by serving them, you start discovery so that there's an exchange of information. You then can either settle the case in mediation or you go all the way to trial and try to get a jury or judge to award you money for your case.
Wow, that's a detailed explanation. I mean, as I was struck by when you were saying all that, I was like, wow, this is why it's so important to get, a professional attorney on your side to help you navigate through all that. And that kind of speaks a bit to, I think you touched on a bit of what question 3 is going to be here, but maybe you could expand upon it. Question 3 is, so how long does a personal injury lawsuit last for?
Right. So, generally speaking, after an incident, you have 2 years to file a lawsuit. That's less if it's a governmental entity, that's the defendant. Usually that's 6 months from the date of incident to file a claim. So there can be a full 2 year process where you're negotiating with an insurance company before a lawsuit is ever even filed.
Oh,
So there
geez.
could be a possibility of up to 2 years there. Generally speaking, it's not that long. Generally speaking, we'd like to resolve a claim within a few months of the incident if we're going to resolve the claim before filing a lawsuit. In the event we do have to file a lawsuit, like I said, the end of it, you know, is a possibility to go up to trial, which is about a year and a half after you file the lawsuit. However, you can settle your lawsuit at any time before trial. Sometimes, if you just file a lawsuit, then the insurance company or the defendant will be more motivated to make better offers, maybe one that is acceptable to you, and then you can settle the day after you file a lawsuit. Sometimes the two sides just can't agree to anything, and the case has to go all the way to trial, which, like I said, can be 1.5 to 2 years after you file the lawsuit.
Wow, that is a detailed process, but that shows the how important it is to get on top of this early when you suffer an injury like this. The next question's very specific, but frankly, it's something I kind of wondered myself. Can I settle my personal injury case for more than the insurance coverage of the other driver?
Yeah, so generally speaking, a settlement is almost always limited by the amount that the other person has in insurance coverage.
Oh,
Because if your case is worth, so let's just say their insurance policy is $100,000, but your case is worth $200,000, but the defendant themselves does not own any individual assets, then you're not going to be able to recover the full 200. Even if you get a
oh,
judgment, you won't be able to collect. However,
oh.
with insurance policy limits, obviously the insurance company is contractually obligated to pay that amount if that's what they agree to, the 100,000. However, there is a way to get around the limitation
Hmm.
of the smaller insurance policy limit. And the way to do it is to open the policy limit. So what you do is you send a settlement demand asking the insurance company to offer your client the full policy limit as a settlement. So
Oh,
let's just say it's $100,000 insurance
okay.
limit.
Mhm.
You send a what's called a policy limit settlement demand saying, let's settle the case for 100,000. And if you don't offer me the 100,000 and you try to offer me 50,000, the policy limits are now open. It's open because it's
Oh.
unreasonable for you because it's obvious the case is worth at least 100,000. And
Mhm.
now you're putting your client, your insured, at a risk of having to pay my client more money.
Oh,
Because if I go
jeez.
to trial, you could have settled for 100,000, which is the insurance policy limits, but
Mhm.
then I get $300,000 verdict. That's now you're insured. The person who hit me is now going to sue their own insurance company for bad faith.
Wow.
So that's how you get around a limitation of insurance policy coverage. You send a settlement demand asking for the full policy limit. You know, it only works opening up the policy if at the time you make the settlement demand, it's clear to the other side that it would be unreasonable to not offer you the money. I mean, if you
Oh.
went to a chiropractor one time and
Uh-huh.
your pain went away and that's it,
Hmm.
it would be unreasonable for the insurance company to pay you $100,000 because your
Okay.
case wouldn't be worth $100,000
Right. As you go, you
just
felt
with those
better.
limited facts. So if you make a settlement demand for the policy limit, and at the time you make it, it would be unreasonable to reject it. In the event the insurance company rejects that demand, you now can open the policy, go all the way to trial, and force the insurance company to pay you whatever excess judgment there is over the insurance policy limits.
Wow. That is that's great. I had no idea of any of that. I mean, I know I just said it a question ago, but again, that really hammers home how important it is to have an expert on your side dealing with this kind of thing. 'Cause, geez. And I guess, yeah, and that leads right into the fifth and final question that we have today. I think something that's been on a lot of folks' minds. How long does it take to get paid after my personal injury case settles?
Okay, so when the case settles, the way it settles is when you sign a release of claims.
Mhm.
So when you have the signed release of claims, releasing the defendant from having to pay you anything because of the injury, when the insurance company receives that, they have 30 days to send the check to you. So within 30 days of sending a release to the insurance company, that is when the attorney gets the check. Then there has to be a distribution laid out of how much the attorney fee is, any out of pocket or doctor expense, and then the net recovery to the client. Once
Mm.
that's settled and signed, then the funds can be distributed to each party. So that's how long it takes after your case settles for
Mhm.
you to get your net recovery.
Okay, so it's so there is a bit of a process. It's not like you walk right out with the check. Okay, so that's no, that makes so much sense. That's such a very down to earth good thing for people to hear. That's all the questions we have for this particular session. Is there anything you wanted to add, Bilal? Anything you wanted to tell the people?
Nothing to add, just that, if you have any questions about any personal injury or workers' compensation or employment law matters, to please just leave it in the comment section on the Belal Hamideh business page, and we will make sure to answer it on the next live Q&A session. Thank you all and take care.